What's happening, Mel?
What's going on, my man?
So, guys, be a clever homeowner. This is
Yes.
season 2. It's 2026.
Yes.
And we are coming to you live with a banger for today.
Yes, we're going to start with one of the best episodes so far. And I think probably the whole season, I feel. So we've been getting a lot of calls from some of our new clients. And the main thing across, the theme across with all these phone calls has been, hey, Mel, we need a complete guide, right? Buyer's guide for this year, something updated. And I think we're going to get it started, right? First episode with a complete guide, how to buy your first home, the whole thing. And there's a little extra at the end, guys. So I have this book right here, my own book that I put together a couple years back. I'm going to be giving away a ton of these, and I'm going to let you know how to get your hand on these, because this one actually is for buyers. Remember this thing?
Absolutely, yeah.
Finding your dream home, but it has some insider tips, right? And some amazing ways to save money when buying your first home. So stay tuned for this. We'll put it back. Dave, let's get it rolling.
Let's get it rolling. And we apologize. Studio in the back's getting completely prepared.
Yes.
So rather than wait to provide you guys some great information, we decided we'd make it work in the corner of my office. So
Yep.
So here it is. So I guess step one, guys, the first question really is as simple as it can be. It's just, are you ready to buy?
Yeah.
And with that, the first couple things that we're looking at is going to be from the qualifying side, right? And we've talked about in a couple different episodes, things like credit, things like income, job stability, right? Looking at all these things to make sure that not only when you get pre-approved, right? Because the biggest misconception is that the number that you qualify for on paper is a number that works in real life.
Yeah. I mean, I think we just made a whole new video about that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in one of these corners here for you guys, okay? You can click on that, and it'll take you to another page so you can watch it later. On sometimes a lot of people, and this almost happened to me, right? The number that Dave will give you, right, that any bank or any lender will give you is the maximum amount you qualify for.
That's the max, yeah.
Right. That doesn't mean that you have to use that number as your Bible, right? It doesn't have to be your end and be all number. You have to pick a number, your monthly payment that makes sense for you, your family, the lifestyle that you want to continue to live, or the lifestyle that you want to have in the future. In that other video, we'll break it down in detail how to do that.
But in simple terms, it's called, we don't want you to be house poor.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you can have a new house and say, oh, I can remodel and do anything I want to this house. But if every dollar that you have is going towards a mortgage payment and you can't live and you can't do anything else, then that's not, our objective is to set you up to win with that purchase, to win with the mortgage, to find, buying a house should be something that brings more stability to your family.
Yes, correct.
And not something that brings nothing but stress and pain and regret.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing that you want, right, Dave, is to go in the home and feel like you're just working to pay for a house. That's not a good feeling.
That's
right?
not living.
That is not living, right? You still want to continue to go on a couple of dinners here and there, go on some trips for yourself or you're the family or family, whatever it might be, right? You still want to continue to live the lifestyle that makes you feel comfortable, right? While building wealth with your home and your property. And also, right, you move into a new home, you want to be able to decorate. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Remodel and make it your own, right? So
give it a little flavor.
Exactly. Put your flavor and twist into it. I'm huge on bricks. So, right?
I love it.
Coming from the East Coast, I love bricks, right?
So that would be your first one, right? Step one is, are you ready to buy? And again, that comes down to, that's the first consultation. That's talking with your banker, someone like myself, sitting down and reviewing all those things. Again, we talked about the fundamentals, right? Your credit. We're talking about the down payment funds that you have and what your expectations are. We're looking at an emergency fund.
Yeah, the emergency fund is important before buying. And that's because there's going to be some out-of-pocket expenses when getting into the home. Things like your appraisal is going to cost you out of pocket, right? Your home inspection and any additional inspections that you do to the home that we highly recommend, like sewer lines, those kind of things.
All the little what ifs.
Termite, depending on what region of the country you live in, termite or pest inspections.
And not only that, but the main thing in step one, guys, is just it's preparation. So even things like when Melvin goes and finds you a house and we make an offer on that property, if there's an EMD or an earnest money deposit attached, you may say, hey, I'm getting $50,000 from my parents, and maybe you have a spouse and you're getting married and the other family is willing to give you some money. All those things need to be sorted out, because if you go and you open escrow, you find this amazing property, you do all the negotiating, and you open an escrow, within 72 hours, you have to provide that earnest money deposit.
Correct.
So it's all just, it's packaging everything up into education and information so that when we approach step number 2, you're prepared. And that's number one, most important.
Yeah, step one. I mean, we'll go into detail a little bit farther in this video on that initial deposit and the down payment and all those things, right? Because remember, this is a guide, so we're just taking you down step 1. So again, step 1, we're gonna make sure that it's very clear for you here. Your income stability, Dave,
absolutely.
Right? Meaning 2-year job history and job security.
Absolutely.
Very important. Your credit score, right? Your debt to income awareness, and you would sit down with you guys to go over how that works for you, okay?
Yes, sir.
And then obviously your emergency fund before buying. Personally, I like having an emergency fund before buying and after buying, because you don't want to dump your whole savings.
No, life happens.
Because life can happen really quickly.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
We have seen many clients where they end up expanding their family fairly quickly, new baby on the way, and like, oh my gosh, we were not prepared for this.
Little things.
Right? Little things.
You buy a house, fridge goes out, washer
like
dryer
that.
don't work. All the simple things in life, but again, that just comes down to education, preparation, and
those are the basic items on step 1, right?
Let's get to step 2.
Yeah, I mean, the angle, I always like to take it a little angle, right? And I wrote it down here. I want to make sure that you get this info, because you have to put this in your mind. We want to make sure that we give this info
Mel got the
properly.
laptop out so we can go step by step.
I want to make sure that you get the right info that's going to set you up for success. That's what we're here for, right? The angle here, and I want to make sure that we don't forget this, is buying a home is a long-term commitment, not just a monthly payment. And we'll explain a little bit of that later, because remember, this is probably not going to be your forever home, right?
It's true. It's very true.
If you're a first-time buyer, meaning that you're really using this guide for your first home, then you'll quickly realize that you're going to use this home towards your dream home.
Or your
right?
forever. Yeah.
Exactly. So having that angle, that exit strategy awareness is key, because that's going to pay you later, not just in buying your next beautiful home, whatever that looks like, but also to building wealth. As a family or as a single person, however you want, you can use this first home to truly build wealth.
The most important thing, guys, is it sets expectation, right? Like we talked about in a couple other videos and we've gone to, but it's impossible to know your forever home when you haven't even gotten your forever life figured out, right? You may not have your forever spouse, and you definitely won't have your forever kids. And when you have kids, it's forever kids, right? So all these little things again. So it's just, these are the things to look for. These are the things to understand, and these are the things that are going to empower you moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
hey Dave, I think we forgot something.
Talk to me.
Our sip of the week.
I know.
All right, so I'm going to pour it out, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an insight here. Now, I got to apologize ahead of time.
You were drinking some of that, huh?
I drank a little bit of it.
I'm guilty as well.
Yeah, we tasted this for the 49ers-Eagles game. He's a Niners fan. I grew up in Philadelphia, so obviously we were breaking up breaking open the new bottle. However, I'm gonna apologize also because this bottle, it is very special and it's gonna be very difficult to get your hands on this bottle. Okay.
Yeah, there's supposed to be ones people can actually try.
I know, but you know what? It's so good. I had to feature it. Okay, and that's
good.
because I went down to Panama to visit some family for the Christmas holidays. Beautiful, beautiful times, right? Very joyful and loving times. And I made friends at this bar called Amano Bar, right?
Amano.
Very creative mixologist in there, and I met the head mixologist.
Oh wow!
And he was letting me know that they have their own rum that they distill. So, and this is that rum, right? So this rum, check this out. This rum has been back and forth in the plane quite a bit, or maybe a boat.
Oh, that's what you said. They send some.
Yeah,
right?
so they distill it in Panama, right? And to give it their own flavor, their own distinct flavor, right? Because Panama is really well known for rums, although they do not come out of the country. They don't export them that much. But there's some amazing high quality rums in Panama. So this rum comes here to San Francisco, to a bourbon distillery.
Oh, wow.
Where it gets aged for a couple of years in those barrels. And then that gets bottled here and gets sent back to Panama for sale.
Oh, wow.
And you can only get this bottle at the boutique shop next to that bar. So
maybe he'll put the address of the bar in the link.
I'll put the info.
If you're ever in Panama, you can try it.
I'll put the info below. But when I tell you that is a special thing, right?
It's really special.
It's really special. It's something like a rum meets a bourbon. The flavor notes on it is amazing.
There you
so
go.
I'm gonna pour it out, right, and then we can go to step 2, and we can go ahead and continue going, and then we'll talk about this at the end. Okay. So the step 2, Dave, is what can you comfortably afford in 2026, because the market has changed.
Absolutely. Okay? And again, I use the term a lot with clients. One of the first things I tell people when they come and talk to me is there's an expectation and there's a reality. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that goes in with like what we talked about a little earlier, right? Like a lender approval versus like your actual affordability.
Yes.
And again, that comes back down into, pre-approving somebody isn't as simple as saying, give me your loan docs and I'll tell you what you qualify for. Because 99.999%, I don't like to use 100 as a banker because nothing's ever absolute, but 99.999% of the time when people come in, the last thing that I'm doing is I'm looking at that income.
Yeah.
Because the first thing is let's set up the expectation. And the expectation is, you get a couple, someone that comes in, I had a couple last week that comes in, and the first thing I'm asking is, hey, have you been looking on Zillow? Have you been looking on Redfin? And people are always like, well, yeah, we have. We've been looking. We want to go in this city. Yep. And then the next question is, well, what's your payment expectation?
Yeah.
And a lot of times through a lot of these sites like Redfin, Zillow, they'll have all these estimated payments. And those things typically aren't very accurate. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is I'll take those expectations and then I'll turn them into reality. As an example, hey, we've been looking at homes for $800,000. Okay, great. You've been looking. $800,000. What are we looking at as a down payment? Yeah. And then from there, it's saying, okay, based on your credit profile, based on the type of loans that we're looking at, I'll break down 2 or 3 options for $800,000 with whatever that down payment is, and say, here's what that payment looks like. Now that payment is either going to be affordable and it's in the realm of expectation, or it's outside the realm of expectation.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, really, that's number one. Number one is setting up the reality versus expectation and seeing if there is a place where those two things can exist.
Yeah.
And if they can't, then we either have to adjust one of two things. One of them is, hey, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and my expectation is I want to live in North Downey or Friendly Hills or expensive part of Long Beach. But maybe that's not the case. That payment amount that you're looking for, you're able to find a house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but maybe within that 3-mile circle that you're looking for, that's not where it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's where, obviously, when it goes back to your agent, someone like Melvin, that's where their expertise is going to come in, because we've had multiple families.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
A lot more often than you think, and it actually happened to me. I wanted a 3 bedroom or 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath.
Yeah.
That's what I went searching for. I ended up with a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. And that's okay. It's your first home, right?
Absolutely.
And what happens is also, it depends on your market, right? What happens there is that if you are in a fast moving market like it is Southern California, that could be LA County, Orange County, even Riverside County, right? Depending on the areas. That needs to be adjustable, and you need to be a little bit flexible, meaning that you are either going to go and look into good areas, but different areas that you originally set up to, right?
Absolutely.
Basically expand your area of search, or you're going to modify that home. You're going to give up something to gain something.
And one thing I
right?
just want to throw out there, guys, too, is when we're talking about Riverside or Orange or Los Angeles County, that's just because the dynamic of most of our clients based where we are come from that area. But I just had a client that we opened escrow on a property in Kona and in Hawaii, and it's where she's at. It's a super hot market as well.
Yep.
So we're talking about these things. It's not just something localized to one of these cities.
Yeah.
It's basically anywhere across the United States that you're looking to buy.
Yeah, I mean, and also remember, we have an extensive network of verified agents, real estate agents across the country in my team. And then David can lend anywhere in the country. His team lends here,
Absolutely.
anywhere in the country.
then
So,
with the-
so you can always comment below, right?
Yeah.
You can comment below, send us a message, right? Or
Yeah.
or set up a time on our website. You have the link below, and we'll go over your specific market with that agent that is local to you. Okay.
And then with affordability, right, a couple of things that we're looking at, things that are going to change depending on property is like home type, right? Like sometimes like with Mel, and that's why it's so important that your team around you understands your exact situation, because I'll give you a prime example. We have a set of buyers right now that are looking, and based on their price point, they have a specific price point for single family homes, and then they have a specific price point for units.
Oh, for units, yeah.
So, we have other clients where, let's say, I just can't come out and say, hey, that Mel, they're pre-approved for $450,000 on a condo, because $450,000 with a condo with a $150 HOA versus one with a $900 HOA is completely different.
It's completely different, yeah.
So those are some of the things that we're looking at. Your taxes. One thing that a good agent and a smart, educated banker are going to also do, right, is, and we talk to our clients about this all the time. There's a term you can write down, you can look up. It's called the Melrose. Oftentimes on new properties, you may have this additional tax assessments or things in a specific area of a city. Maybe you're in like it's a single family home, but it's in what's called a PUD, or planned unit development. If there's a shared park, a basketball court, a pool, anything like that, there's going to be additional fees or costs associated with that in the form of an association. Or Melrose, which is additional state tax that's on a property. Maybe it's a new build and you're looking at new construction. And a lot of times what happens with new constructions, we get clients that go, oh, you know what, I can, pay $700,000 for this house, or for $700 and for $40,000 more, I can buy this brand new home. But what they don't know is that brand new home is in a brand new build area, and there is a 1% property tax assessment on addition to their taxes, which is going to make their payment $800 or $900 more a month. Yeah. So again, when we're talking about what you can comfortably afford, we're looking at all these things. It's also the type of home you're in. What type of property type are we looking for? Another big thing that's going to change that is the rates or the market.
Yeah, I was just looking here real quick for you guys. Melrose, that's a term that we use here in California, but I was pulling up a file that we have in Texas. Is a different type of. It is a Melrose, but they is under a specific and different section. PIDs they're called, or municipal utility districts, MUDs. So you have to pay attention to what those are in your state. Some states don't have it. You would be very fortunate, like Delaware doesn't have that, right? But then most states will have some kind of Melrose tax. So again, let us know and we'll go ahead and do the research for you and let you know which ones those are for you.
And then again, when it comes to rates, guys, that's the task where everyone out there wants to time the market, right?
Yep.
And
No,
the big
yeah.
issue with that is,
Yeah.
you know, you may get some family that says, oh, you know, we want to wait until rates come down a little bit. And as an example, let's say that you're buying a house and rates are at 5%, just as an example. And this house is listed at 700 and it's been on the market for 30 days and you kind of want to make an offer, but you're hearing on the news that the feds are going to meet and all these things are going to happen. And you say, oh, I'm going to wait. Let's say something crazy in the market happens and rates drop a full percent to 4%. You are absolutely going to save on that payment. But now the problem becomes, if you're thinking you want to wait because you want to time something perfect,
Yeah.
there's other people that are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you go on a house and you're one of 3 or 4 people making an offer versus you're one of 30 people making an offer, sometimes that 0.25% in rate you save just is like, I don't know another way to say it, it's like a fart in the wind because the purchase price just went up $50,000, right?
On a conservative side, 50
Absolutely.
grand. I mean, we have seen clients who have spent over $85,000 over asking price just to get in a home because it's a highly competitive market because those rates are low, right?
Yeah.
But then again, we keep telling people, you know, you marry the house and you date the rate, meaning that you can always refinance later down the line.
Yep.
So if you have, I mean, here's an advantage. Think about it like this, right? You have less competition now because everybody's waiting and everybody's, you know, yes, the state of the country right now is a little bit gloomy for different reasons, right? However, you know, you have a lot of people waiting. What if you don't wait? Think about this, right? You have less competition, right? Meaning that you can save. Right now, most of our clients are getting price reductions, right? Because houses are sitting on the market longer. So you can get savings there, right?
Absolutely.
We have a client who the house was off. I think the house was originally listed at 1.85 mil. Okay, they brought it down to 1.795. Now they brought it back down also to 1.75. We offer 1.6. Check out the discount.
Yeah.
Right? So and that's just up front. You can also save money in your closing costs. Guess what? Closing costs are included. Guess how much a closing costs are for a $1.6 million home?
Yeah, and it works for everything, guys, right? I mean, look at boats. You want a boat, you can go probably on OfferUp and buy one in wintertime, and someone's been sitting in someone's driveway. He didn't sell it during summer. Now he's waiting. The dude needs money. It's wintertime comes around, right? You want to go out there and make a hardball offer, but summertime comes back around, campers, trailers, RVs. So with real estate, it's the same thing. Every individual market, sometimes it's by city.
Yep.
Like in California, as an example, you can go to Culver City and one house is on the market and you're going to have 50 offers on it.
Yeah.
You might go to another city, which is, 10 miles away, and there's 15 homes being listed and they're setting for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So again, all that kind of stuff, right? It's impossible to time, but that's why when you have someone like Mel that's good at what he does, we can navigate through those things with you together.
Yeah, and I mean, it basically comes down to what we always say. It's not about timing the market.
No,
right?
It's timing your own personal situation.
If the numbers make sense for you, right, with today's rate, then pull the trigger, right? And then when the rates come down a couple of years, refinance. Simple as that, right? So, I mean, and that comes down to the points that I was going to make, which is being conservative with your budget and mindset, right? Which it plays a role with that. And also not stretching your budget and why that kills your peace. And I'll put these, in over here in text so you can write them down because they're very important. Again, if you stretch that budget, you're going to feel not just your peace of mind, right? Every night you're going to come in like, man, my monthly payment is so high. Again, understand what feels right for you on that monthly payment.
I mean, how many times have you gone out and bought a pair of shoes and you're like, oh, I want a pair of shoes for $60. You go to some custom store at the mall and you buy some Jordans that are $350. If you're going home and you're regretting not spending $60 and spending $350, now imagine when you were like, hey, I don't want to touch my 401k. You get all attached to one thing. you draw this money out, and all of a sudden, like, you're in a 30-year mortgage now. You know, yeah, you can turn around and try to sell or something else, but that's not how you want to start your real estate venture of your life, right? You want to make sure that you set your goals, you set your standards, and you don't find a house and then figure out how to buy it. You set your budget and you set your expectation, and then you find a home that fits what works for your family.
Exactly. That pre-qualification is the most crucial step of the entire process, because that's what's going to set you to win.
Yeah, if you're someone's pre-approved, right? And as an example of that, when we do loans and I send pre-approval letters out, I'll send letters and say, hey, Mel, this is the payment that we want. Here's our price. Here's our letter. We can go up to X amount of dollars. This is our max budget, but we start at where you're comfortable. And if you're stuck on one area, or you're like, look, this is where I really want to be, but I do have flexibility, we will move that increment up slowly, step by step.
Exactly.
But I also don't provide updated pre-approvals until whoever it is that we're working with, till we've had a conversation and we bought. If there's a house that's 700 and Mel comes back and says, hey, you know what, this other one came up, it's a great deal, it's 740. Before we even talk about making offers or nothing else, he's relaying the price points to me. I'm talking with our clients. We're going over numbers. We're setting expectations. What's the cost? What's the payment? What does this do for you on that comfortability level? And then if everyone's in agreement, then we can go ahead and move forward. Exactly. But that's a great point, right?
Exactly. And we can let's give it an example, right? Let's just say you are approved up to $3,500 a month, right? That's your max, right? But you know in your gut, with your lifestyle, whatever that looks like, traveling, eating out, movies, whatever it might be, barbecues, and you like to spend a lot of money on, expensive beef, let's just say.
Wines or whiskeys.
Whatever it might, watches, you name it, right? You're comfortable, let's say, at $2,400, right? Now we know as a team how to help you, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now you let us know, hey, Mel, $3,500 a month sounds great. However, I think I want to stay around $2,400, maybe $2,450. Then we know, Dave tells me, okay, this is going to be a $350,000 home or $375,000 home or below. And then he tells me that, and then I say, awesome, that sounds good. Here's what we can do. Let's stretch that a little bit, and let's put the search at 385, even 390, because I know that market might be a little bit slow in that area. And I know that homes might be sitting on the market, especially right now, 30, 45, 90 days of market. And I know that those sellers might come down a little bit. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and adjust that search.
We're expanding your market, but we're not expanding your budget for you.
Exactly.
Purposely. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So that's step 2. All right. So step 3.
Let's get into it.
Let's rock and roll. All right. So we're going to do, this is all you. This is mostly you, dude. Your loan strategy. Okay. Your loan strategy. And we have a full breakdown on the last podcast of each individual loan, what they are and how they work for you. So you can watch that here somewhere.
But I'll give you some simple tips.
But just some simple tips on these loans.
Off the top of the dome, right? Yeah. First thing is going to be the type of loan that you're going to get. FHA, is it going to be VA if you're a veteran? Is it going to be conventional? Is it going to be some type of non-QM loan because our income is a little bit different? Maybe we need to go bank statements instead of tax returns or something like that. So that's going to be the first part. There are different options. Like sometimes people may come into a house and they really like something, or maybe you're buying a home and you're like, look, Dave, I really, really want this house. The payment that we're talking about for this price point may not work today, but I know in 6 months, I'm my job position's changing and I'm getting this uptick in income or something like that. And maybe we can talk about things like rate buy downs, temporary buy downs, things of that nature. Adjustable rate mortgages, stuff like that. I'm really not a fan of that stuff. I don't ever like to plan for what ifs. But really it's going through all those different loan scenarios and just dialing in on what we know is going to work for your specific scenario. And something that might be ill-advised for one person might be a great strategy for somebody else.
Yes.
You know, and again, that's the important part about having someone that not only is active but knows pretty much. I can confidently say there's not a mortgage product that I don't know. Whether it's someone can come and talk to me and say, Dave, I got a crazy scenario, and I just laugh because I'm like, but before you're even done telling me, I got 10 different ways to get something done, right? But really, you can go and buy a suit, right? And you can go to Macy's or go to Nordstrom's and pull up somewhere and say, oh, I'm a 42, regular, and they can throw a suit on. But when you go somewhere and you get a custom tailor to come out and say, hey, you're not a 42 regular, you're a 44 short, or hey, why don't you try this 44 tall? But the jacket's a little big in the back. Yeah, but we're going to trim this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. That's exactly what you do with your mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. You're tailoring it.
And the gist of it, guys, when it comes to a mortgage, right, the loan strategy, it's custom tailored. So, I can get into 1,000 different scenarios of ways that we built loans, but that would take 7 days of nonstop filming, right? But at the end of the day, the objective is to know that when you're building a loan, it absolutely is a strategy. That's why Mel labeled it that specific way, because it's not just, let me throw a bunch of shit against a wall. Let me see if it sticks. What's the max I can pay for? I want this one type of loan or this one type of product. It's sitting down, and a good banker isn't just going to tell you yes or no. A good banker is going to make you think. They're going to ask you questions.
Yes.
They're going to make you
get
think
to know
outside
your
the
goals.
box. Same exact thing on the real estate side. And your loan strategy is basically sitting with your banker, your finance person. And part of that strategy, guys, I tell everybody, don't just talk to one person.
Yeah.
If your friend says,
say that.
If your friend says, oh, I know this guy Dave. For me, I always tell people, like, hey, you know what? You found me on Yelp. You found me on Google. You have a cousin that does it. You know what? Call 2 or 3 people. Have a conversation with them on the phone. Meet them in person. Get a feel for someone, because at the end of the day, when we talk about team and all that stuff, it's so important that you have a connection with the people that you're working with, because connection is how you first create trust. And when you trust somebody, that's when you're able to really sit down and say, hey guys, there's been times we've had buyers where someone's rushing for a house or doing something, and they maybe don't want to tell us the whole story.
Yeah.
And one of us starts getting to know them a little bit, and all of a sudden they're like, all right, guys, let me actually tell you why we're doing this, right? And all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, thanks for that information. Now the strategy is going to completely change, because we know a little bit more about what's driving you. And if we know what's driving you, we can help you create something that is perfect for your specific scenario.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, I mean, talking to maybe 2 or 3 lenders is key. It's key.
Absolutely.
I mean, we encourage it ourselves, meaning that the first one thing that you don't want is you don't want to feel, no one wants to feel sold on anything, right? Or having product pushed down on them. So get that second, third opinion, right? And what usually happens is that you'll find out who really has the expertise, right, and the years of experience versus the ones that don't. Right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I tell people they don't know how good I am until they talk to 2 or 3 other people.
Exactly.
The same thing with an agent, right? You talk to an agent on the phone, and they're like, oh, the first thing they ask out of your mouth isn't, how's your day? It's, oh, are you pre-approved? Do you have a contract with someone else? It's like they're all, you could tell if someone's within the first minute if all someone wants to do is monetize you.
Yeah.
And versus trying to build a relationship first. And that's...
And delivering value too.
Yeah, exactly.
Valuable information.
I have a quote on my email that says, don't try to become a person of success, try to become a person of value.
Yep.
And success will
Albert
follow.
Einstein.
And
that's Albert Einstein.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's fundamentally true, but again, so one thing you'll hear from us, is never like only talk to me. I mean, literally, my office, I'm next door to Wells Fargo. I'm across the street from Bank of America. I got a couple mortgage companies down the street. I have a couple credit unions. I tell clients all the time, hey, feel free, man. Walk next door, go across the street.
Literally, this
You
city
could go
is full.
within,
Yeah.
look on Yelp or Google Maps and just type in mortgage or real estate, and you'll
Yeah.
find 50 places. Knock on a door and talk to 2 or 3 people and get a feel. Or your friend does know someone or this or that. Talk to people, find who you connect with. And that's simple as that.
Dave, I want to touch up on something that I get this question quite a bit, but I want people to hear from you directly. The difference between a pre-approval versus pre-qualification.
That's huge. So there's different things, right? Like a pre-approval may be sitting down with someone and talking to them and saying, hey, you know what, Dave, I want to buy, maybe talking about your income a little bit. And usually what I do when people first come in, that pre-approval process is the getting to know you. Mm-hmm. It's filling out, talking to you a little bit about what your goals are, figuring out that expectation and that reality, and then saying, hey, you know what? Numbers look good. Maybe they come back and go, oh, you know what? Yeah, here's what my FICO scores are. Okay, based on what you think your scores are, this is what we're looking at. And sometimes, guys, you can get what's called a pre-approval letter. And again, people can use different terminology for it, but a pre-approval is someone who's kind of glancing over things and saying everything looks good, kind of like taking a test drive on a used car. And the pre-qualification is taking the test drive and then going to the mechanic and saying, hey, hook this thing up.
Yeah.
Let's check. Let's look under the hood. Yep. Let's do this. So what a pre-qualification is that's when you've made that, because you can go talk to multiple people about getting pre-approved. And at the end of the day, if you come in and someone just uses the term, hey, you're totally pre-approved, here's your package, or hey, you're pre-qualified, here's your package. But what you want to do as a buyer is have a couple of those pre-approval conversations. So where you're talking with people, you're kind of filling them out. But a pre-qualification is when you come back and I'm telling your agent, hey, look, here is the pre-qualification letter. I reviewed income in depth. I've retained all your documentation. I've reviewed your credit report. We've checked your assets and vetted everything out. I got the work history down. Any possible, things that might come up, I've got thorough explanations on them. Because Melvin knows there's times we have clients. We actually have a client right now that's been looking at homes for online and calling Melvin and saying, I found the perfect house. We found the perfect house. And it's been 6 months.
Yeah.
And he calls me up and says, hey, did you get this? Did you get that? And I'm like, no, they're not pre-qualified until I get these 2 documents.
Correct.
And these 2 documents are needed to make sure that when I give Melvin that letter and say, here's this pre-qualification package, they're ready to start looking, that comes, obviously nothing's guaranteed. Someone can get pre-qualified, go look for a house and then lose their job a week in and their income changes or something drastic and that doesn't work anymore. We had a young lady that was actually pre-approved or pre-qualified to go, and she was looking at homes, made a couple offers, actually opened escrow on a house, and then that Saturday, and then opened escrow on Saturday, found a house, and then Monday on her way to work, she got in a car accident. And called us up and said, hey guys, this happened. And we're like,
last year.
And we're like, hey, let's pull out of this thing. Let's figure that out first in life. But a pre-qualification that means that there's some meat and potatoes attached to a letter.
Correct.
And you're actually really ready to start the search.
Yeah. I mean, and also pro level tip right here too, and is the fact that pre-qualification package should be a weapon. Literally a weapon.
Absolutely.
For your real estate agent when negotiating in your behalf. Okay, and what that means is it once a real estate agent is seasoned enough, it knows how to use that information. It is their job to sell you as the best possible buyer for that specific home. So that information, those FICO scores, showing all of your savings accounts or bank accounts, those type of things, right? We're not gonna actually show,
we
your
black it all
account
out.
number. We'll black all that stuff out. However, it's
showing all your strengths, right?
All
it's
your
coming out and
strengths.
saying
Exactly. This is literally
it's like, you go to a
the
UFC
ultimate
fight.
Weapon.
When you never watch your first UFC fight and you see the list, it says, hey, this dude's reach is 4 inches longer. And this is his weight. And hey, he's jiu-jitsu, black belt, karate. And you're like, ooh, this guy looks like he's going to whip that ass. Why? Because They're
Exactly.
putting all those qualifications down, and exactly that. A pre-qualification, the right
Exactly.
package, delivered the right way, is basically, I mean, at the end of the day, let's just call it what it is, right? You're basically telling that seller, hey, if you accept our offer, you're going to get a check in 30 days or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
close on this home. And it's showing, because we don't have relationships with that other agent, but as a team, we're coming up and we're saying, look, we're presenting the best financial version of you that we can. It's kind of like you're every time you write in an offer, you're going on a date and you're trying to get that person to say, hey, here's my number, call me back. Let's go on another date, a 30-day or 45-day date, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to put yourself in the seller's, seat, right? They're getting all these offers. Let's say they get 3 offers. They want to pick the better one, right?
Yeah.
So that pre-qualification package is that weapon that you can use to
sometimes, guys,
to get into escrow, and having the seller have that confidence to say, oh, this is the right buyer for me. This is the person who's going to actually close escrow in 21 days, as they say right here, or 30 days, whatever it might be.
And sometimes that personal story that we hear and understanding your why, that helps too.
Yeah, exactly.
We've had people that take an offer and they're like, oh, this wasn't the best, but I love that family.
Yeah. Yeah, that's especially with today's new laws.
Today,
that we can't send letters about you and your family and that kind of stuff. We can't send those letters anymore, right? It has to be numbers and data, But that's when these pre-qualification packages, are a true weapon. They're literally a secret
They
weapon.
help, right? Because we know your whys, and it's like, hey, you know what, Dave? By the way, I always ask people, hey, do you have extra this or that? Oh yeah, I've been a teacher. They send me a bank statement and say they got 50 grand, but then they both have 401ks that have $300,000.
Show all those.
And I'm like, hey,
show them
hey,
all.
can you give me those things? Because guess what? Exactly. I can't say to you I can't send a picture of your pregnant wife and say, oh, look, they're motivated. They're having a baby, and look, the husband broke his leg and here's a picture. Take this out.
Yeah.
But I go, instead of that, I can say, hey, look, by the way, here's an extra 600K that they got in assets.
Yeah.
And
I mean, let's put it this way. Quick example, right? Like the last step 2, right? The example here would be, let's just say that you are the seller, right? And you got this offer, and their down payment and closing costs equals out to $45,000, right? But this person has $48,000 in the bank.
not very much room for error.
But then you have this new offer that just came in, and they have, let's just say, $48,000 also in their savings account, but they're also showing you all these other accounts, 401k, Roth, whatever it might be, overseas savings account, whatever it is, right? And all of that totals $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Which one are you going to choose?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be used for the transaction.
You don't.
But
You just
but
gotta
it shows
show
that
it.
it shows. It's just like credit report, right? I
Yeah.
mean, when a credit card company pulls your credit, and you don't have any, they're gonna be like, we'll give this guy a card for $1,000. But when they see that you got $10,000, $15,000 limit accounts that you're not using,
Yep.
they might say, hey, you know what? We're gonna give him this high balance card because it's everything that we ask for and everything that we do, guys. It's leverage and it's building that profile.
Use it as your strength.
Strengthen your opportunity.
Exactly. Use it as your strength. All right. Step 4.
Let's do it.
Number 4. Wow. Cash needed. What to get into your home. So let's go right into it. Down payment options, right, Dave?
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, right? Your
Yeah.
traditional, when they talk about first-time buyer, usually, very often when you get first-time buyers, they're not putting 30 or 40 or 25% down. FHA requires a minimum 3.5. Conventional loans, there are some products or programs you can get in the door with 3%. Typically, in general, it's more 5% down.
Yep.
And then on your VA loans, it's 0%. And then there's your closing costs that are included, right?
Closing
so
costs
part
too.
of that, just figure closing costs depending on it's hard to give
Depending on your state.
and it's hard
Yeah.
to give a real number too, guys, because like if someone's buying a $700,000 house, I can tell them, hey, your closing costs are probably gonna be between 2.5 and 3% of that purchase price. But if someone's buying a house for 150 grand, their closing costs are probably gonna be closer to 5 or 6% because their title and their escrow fees and all these things, they're not going to come out and go, oh yeah, your escrow fee is only $100 because of this property. They have set prices, and then they increase them based on sometimes on dollar amounts, small amounts. But traditional fees and prices, a lot of that stuff remains the same. An appraisal on a $150,000 house
Yeah.
and on a $700,000 house is the same.
Except for other in certain states have different fees too. Just
Absolutely.
keep that in mind. States like Pennsylvania, New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, for sure you're going to be paying a higher amount on your title fees, right? Where your closing costs might go from 4% to sometimes even 7%,
And
8%.
my legs are
Okay.
shuffling, guys. I'm sorry, but I got some sore legs right now. So you see me
Leg
adjusting
day?
in this chair. Yeah,
Leg days?
they're hurting
Leg
now.
days coming back?
But the
Yeah.
typical
So
costs associated, you're gonna have
yeah.
again. You're gonna have your down payment funds. You're gonna have your closing cost funds. On my side, you're gonna have one of the upfront costs. Mel will get into the EMD and the inspection side, but another cost you're gonna have is an appraisal. An appraisal is a cost. So if you're going to buy a house, that appraisal is gonna help that bank verify that there's a real tangible piece of real estate, a real asset that's attached to that home, because the bank isn't going to go out there and send someone from this bank in Michigan to go verify that there's a
Yeah.
property at this address. That's what the appraisal's for. And that appraisal is a tool. It's going to help the bank to determine a value. But when you order that appraisal, there's an appraiser that's going out there. He's providing an inspection. He's providing a report. Whether or not you close on that home, that doesn't dictate whether or not that appraiser went out and did the work, right? So that's still a cost that's associated. California, I mean, your typical appraisal fees are usually somewhere between $700 and $800. Bigger homes, or if it's units or multifamily, and we need rentals and all these other things done, those costs can increase. But as based on your property type and all those things, we'll kind of go over those things. But down payment, your closing costs, your appraisal. Mel can kind of get into the EMD and then the home
Yeah,
inspection
your
stuff with
EMD
you.
is your initial deposit. Basically, it comes out of your down payment. So if you're putting 5% down, or whatever, 10% or 20%, whatever
Let's
it
just
might
say
be,
your total
it
out of
comes.
pocket 70 grand, right? That you need
Yep.
closing cost and down, and your EMD is 20. You don't need 70 plus that 20. It's basically at the end of the
It
day,
comes out
hey,
of it.
it was 70,000 minus the initial down, which was
Yeah.
20. You got to come in with 50.
Yeah.
But the reason we bring that up is because, again, if it comes to gift, or maybe we have clients that have you're accessing the funds from a 401k, and maybe you can't withdraw those funds from your 401k until you open escrow. So maybe it's going to be 5 or 6 days that we have those funds. That's why it's important that we talk about the money, because Mel's not going to come out and say, hey, we're going to give you this EMD of 25,000 and we're going to do it in 72 hours. He might write up in that offer and say, hey, the borrower's pulling funds, they're coming out of a 401k. We're going to be providing them, but that initial deposit
Yeah,
may come in 5 days, because we need a few days after opening escrow to get this done.
Yeah,
Not
and
deal
that,
killers. It's just information that if we can provide it up front.
yeah, that initial deposit is that skin in the game,
Yeah.
right? And you can do that in increments too. That could be negotiated. We have done that. We don't do it that much, right? But you can do it, meaning that you can go ahead and split that down payment into 3 payments in a sense, right? Your in first initial deposit, let's just say that you are taking it out of a 401k, right? But you can only provide, let's say, $2,500. That's fine. So we'll go ahead and put that in the offer, $2,500 first initial deposit, and then once we go ahead and cash in that 401k amount,
rest,
then
yeah.
we put in the rest, and then maybe 5 days before you close escrow, the escrow company title will call you to go ahead and send the rest of the down payment, right,
Absolutely.
with your closing costs, that kind of stuff. So you can break it down in different payments, but we need the information. You need to know how that's set up. Okay, so that's that. Also, wanted to talk about reserve funds for after closing, right? Remember, this is how much cash you need to get into the home, but you also need cash after the home. Okay, meaning you're gonna want to decorate, you're gonna want to fix things. Again, we're saying this stuff again, but it's important because you don't want to drain your whole bank account and then feel empty, the following month. Although you do have a grace period of 45 days before you
Usually,
make
yeah, the
your
day that
first
you close on
payment.
your mortgage, the end of that month, then you have the following month, and you make your payment that following month after.
Right.
So if you close your loan on March 1st, your first payment is going to be, you're going to close on March 1st. You're part of your closing cost, right? Is that whatever day you close on in a month you close, it's very simple. Let's say you close your loan on March 15th. from the March 15th until the end of March, part of your closing costs are going to be those days' interest. And then you're going to have the month of April, right, that goes by. And then your first mortgage is going to be due on May 1st. But with mortgages, you live and then you pay. Meaning when you make that payment on May 1st, you're paying for the interest for the month of April. So typically the month you close in, you have till the end of that month. The following month, you don't have a payment. And then that consecutive month is when that first payment's going to begin.
Correct.
So, if you close on the 20th of the month, you might have 40 days. You close on the 5th of the month, you might have 55 days. But again, we're going to kind of talk about all that stuff once we kind of have situations or we have offers going out. We'll be able to educate you on that stuff. But again, what we're here to do now is to give you guys, Mel's going to give you bullet points so you can take some notes down. And again, this is all, like we talked about, being clever homeowner. It's not being a stupid homeowner.
Yeah.
And the reality is there's really no stupid homeowners. It's being uninformed
yeah,
or unguided.
Yeah.
And that is the whole purpose of this video, right, guys? It's to give you a tool that you can make bullet points to go, hey, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this. Hey, this is a good point to make. Hey, this is something I want to plan on. You know what? Yeah, I'm looking at a house and my guy says I need 50 grand and I got 50,000 bucks in my pocket. Sometimes people get so caught up in the moment that they forget, like, oh, by the way, I'm going from a 1-bedroom apartment with my future wife that's expecting, and now we're buying a 3-bedroom house. Oh, like, we're gonna need some furniture. Hey, we're gonna need to change some things.
Those moving expenses too.
Absolutely.
Right? Another scenario that I wanted to give you guys is we get this a lot, right? Every year we have at least 4 or 5, right? Where they are either upsizing in home or downsizing at home, right?
Yeah.
So meaning that you're selling a property to get into a new property. That does still mean that even though you're using the funds from the sale of that property to get into your next property, that still means that you have to put some money out of pocket. That initial deposit is going to have to be wired in, within, 3 days of opening escrow. However, if you have a strong team, a strong negotiator, a realtor, right, to go ahead and negotiate for you, they'll be able to negotiate a very small initial deposit on your behalf, right? Because that seller understands that most of that cash is coming from the sale of the property, right? So I think last year we had one that it was just, I think they were getting into a $850,000 home and they only put down $2,000 as their initial deposit, right? So it's usually a lot more than that on that initial
And on that
deposit.
one, we'll negotiate is the seller might say, hey, well, we're not going to give you 20 days to sign it off. You do this, you got 5 days to sign that off, meaning that if you cancel, I'm keeping that $2,000, but it also allowed that person to say, oh, okay, well, I don't have to try to come up with another $15,000 that I don't have until my home sells. So it's
exactly.
It's all an open negotiation.
Yes, 100%.
And before we go to the next step, what's up with this?
You want to take a sip?
Yeah.
Oh, let's take a sip. Okay. So this is ron peresoso, right? Which means lazy rum, and it is lazy because is the sloth is the logo, right? And the sloth is very common to Panama. You see it everywhere. Beautiful
bottle of this,
beautiful
you'll be
creatures.
like a drunk sloth. You won't be moving too quick. I don't know, it's Panamanian. You might be dancing.
Good.
Cheers.
Ooh, that is very nice. What do you get in there?
There's so many flavors on the palate of that one. You can taste. I taste vanilla. I taste cinnamon. It almost
Definitely
tastes like
vanilla.
there's like a little bit of like a cocoa almost at the end of it.
Well, Panama grows a lot of coffee, cocoa, right?
I'm trying to get that, like, spread it on your palate.
Yeah.
That's
the
a
vanilla
good aftertaste.
for sure. For the vanilla for sure.
That vanilla in there is definitely an island rum type of.
But you can also
spirit.
feel a little bit of that bourbon though, because it makes it feel a little bit like cognac.
Oh, you hit. That's what I'm saying.
Right?
On your initial palate, you kind of get some rums you can just There's no burn. There's nothing. This one you're kind of like, ooh, it bites. But
Yeah.
then right after, you taste the notes of all the flavor.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a bourbon in the beginning and then rum at the end, the sweetness.
It's kind of like you taste San Francisco and then it tells you, but Panama.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So, and then before we move on to the next one, in this area, right? So episode three of the podcast of the last season, we go into details, a lot of details on the breakdown of all these costs. So if you want to watch that, I'll probably put that up here somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So next, building your team. This is key. All right. So number one is choosing the right agent. Right. I highly recommend interview a couple of agents. Interview them. Literally sit down and interview them. That's something that I did not do when I bought my first home. I was not a real estate agent when I bought my first home, and that's how I ended up being a real estate agent. Don't want to talk bad about anyone. However, my experience when I bought my first home wasn't what I was expecting, right? I was a marketing director for a media company, actually not too far from here, right?
Oh, wow.
And I started looking right back here because everyone wanted to live in this area back here, right? Northeast, Downey. Highly sought after area. And my agent, many years in the business, but I didn't get that personal feel that I wanted, right? And that what I like to call white glove service, right? And that's why my team is called the Velvet Fence, right? We like to deliver a white gloves type of service. So I didn't get the experience that I wanted. So what I'm trying to say is interview different agents. Number one, that they're knowledgeable, of course. Number two, preferably that they have a team behind them and it's not just a solo agent. And that's because it allows, like someone like me, I don't have to show every single home, right? I can go ahead and divert that to Victor and my team, or Gabrielle, or Demisha out there in Riverside and that kind of stuff, right? And I can focus on the clients that we work together, right?
Absolutely.
And that allows me to spend more time with my clients, with those selected clients, right? That's number one. Number two, someone with a strong negotiating background. You want a strong negotiator. You don't want a shark either, right? Nobody wants to work with a sharky person, right? But you want a strong negotiator with strong ethics. That's number two there. And third, someone who hopefully works closely with a lender like we do, because what happens is that let's just give, for example, right? We send an offer in with that pre-qualification packet, right? Guess who's included in that email, that offer email? Right? David.
Every single time.
And guess who sends a follow-up email to my offer email package? He does.
Follow-up phone call. And then 2 days later, I'm on the phone, he's on the phone, right? Always.
Right? The rest of your team is on the phone. My rest of the team is on the phone. My document people are on the phone. So you want to give that feeling of security to that seller side when you're the buyer, that they have a full team behind them. So essential. So I highly recommend go ahead, choosing an agent who is well seasoned, hopefully, or someone, even if they're not well seasoned, someone who is really into their craft, right?
Yeah.
Being obsessed, right? Because at the end, if you're a basketball fan, right? Let's just say, would you have picked Kobe in year 2 or 3,
No.
right? Right?
Yeah.
Most people would say maybe yeah, right? Because the guy was obsessed with his craft, right? So over someone who was already seasoned and kind of like jaded from the process.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it depends on the person, right? So go ahead and interview different agents, and then lender and agent coordination, like we spoke.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. It totally changed. Honestly, I can see the difference. I don't know about you, but I saw the difference in my own business when we started working together, right? How the other side would address us, right? The way they would call us after we sent our initial package over and we gave that impression of a full cohesive team working together was highly professional. That's the kind of phone calls that I got versus before. They probably thought that I was a kid,
Yeah.
flipping burgers.
Yeah.
That was been 15, 18 years ago, right? But the level of respect that you're going to get as a buyer from the seller side is going to be completely different. I
And
guarantee
it,
you
and it's
that.
and it's and it goes. It's so important, right? Because the same thing comes with banking. I can't tell you. I mean, probably 20% of the reviews I have on Yelp and other things are from people that you know went with the wrong person.
Yeah.
Someone presented themselves well, but maybe didn't have the experience or the education, and last minute phone call to, can you save this deal? And I'm looking at something going, oh well, there's nothing to save. This is easy. It just needs to be done like this, and the financing side, exactly the same thing. You want to talk to people. You want to make sure that the person that you're working with is knowledgeable, that they're ethical, that they know what they're doing. Because I can tell you more often than not, when properties fall out of escrow, it's not because you started hating the house. It's not because you woke up one morning and said you don't want to buy. A lot of times it's because, sometimes inspections and other things happen,
Yeah.
but the primary reason things fall out of escrow is because there's an issue with qualifying. And that happens just because people haven't done their homework, the pre-qualification that we talked about. Maybe they went into escrow and they were just pre-approved, but they weren't really pre-qualified. These people didn't understand that, hey, they're qualifying you with 2 or 3 jobs and not realizing that you can't use that income from that second or third job because you haven't had it long enough.
Yeah.
They're not understanding that, hey, you know what, they're buying this property, but it's in a fire zone, and now the homeowner's insurance costs are going to be $500 more a month, and or $5,000 a year instead of the $50 a month that they negotiated or anticipated. So there's so many things that go into that, but team is absolutely, I mean, with an F bomb even, it's F in everything, because your team is literally what's going to get you from point A to point B. We always tell our clients, you're the captain of the ship,
Yeah.
but you got to have deckhands that know what they're doing. And even when the captain says, no, I'm going this way, your navigator's going to come in and be like, hey, Cap, we ain't going that way. This rock is right here. We got to go around this thing,
Yep.
right? Our job is to get you to the destination and to make sure that when we tell you, hey, you're working with the realtor and you're working with the banker, we talk about experience because experience is absolutely important. But at the end of the day, there's a result that you're looking for. And that result is buying your home. And it's trying to do so with as little stress as possible, with the best type of product possible. And you only get that by having an amazing team. I can't tell you, I've had clients that came in and saw me and I pre-approved them and gave them their pre-qual and gave their package, and they said, oh, Dave, I got so-and-so I'm working with. And I'm like, okay, great. Talk to their person. 3 months down the road, they're still looking. I'm calling them up. I'm following with them. What have they been doing? I'm talking to the agent, and I realize right off the bat, like, yeah, they ain't ever gonna find a home if they're using this realtor. And I'll let them come to that decision on their own. And then all of a sudden, I might say, hey, you know what? I have someone else maybe you should give a call to and try to connect with. And then boom, all of a sudden, there's this connection, and they're looking, and the whole outlook on the areas and what they're looking for, the home type changes, and boom. We've had other scenarios where they're with some realtor and same thing, they're looking at a house and there's all these issues with the loan or a problem. I got lots of brokers and lots of friends. I've been doing this for 26 years. I get people that call me daily and go, Dave, I have this scenario. What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. You did this wrong. You didn't catch this. Or, hey, this is not how this type of product works. And all of a sudden, they got to go back and give bad news. Not everyone's going to find the home run on every account, but do your homework. You're not going to go and buy a car without a test drive and going to at least a couple different dealers and ensuring you got the best deal. Don't do that with your freaking house.
Yeah.
Don't settle. You're going to find someone and you're going to go, man, this is the team. This is the vibe. These are the people I want to be working with. And those are the people that you work with. Simple as that. And me and Melvin, I can tell you guys how often, I'll get clients that'll come in and I'll say, hey guys, I got this amazing agent that I know. I've been working with them for a long time. Why don't I have him connect with you guys and see how that conversation goes? He knows. I'll text him, hey guys, I want to introduce you to Mel. And he gets on the phone. There's zero expectation. There's no guarantee. Yeah. Or there's times where He'll even know too. I'll call a client and be like, hey, what's up? How's the connection with Mel? How's everything going? Vice versa on the other side. Hey, how's things going with Dave? Like, we're constantly checking in as well to make sure that even as a team that we're holding each other accountable to something. There might be a time where a client's like, oh, I really want to go see this house. And, oh, I really want to do this thing. And I'll text this guy, where you at? Oh, man, sorry, I'm out to dinner or something, or vice versa. And I'm like, hey, fucking pull over, get on a phone call real quick. We got to do this. Oh, man, you know what? Let me jump on that. So
that has actually happened. It happened 2 weeks ago.
It's having your team be accountable to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at the end of the day, guys, you want to make sure that the standard doesn't drop, right?
Yeah, that white glove service is not going to happen on its own.
No,
right? And also, look, Dave knows I am a 100% big believer in AI, right? But certain things cannot be automated. Period. Right? Nope. They require a human touch.
Mm-hmm. Not everything can be. There's certain things that can be done. You can have AI, help you build a website. You can have AI do certain things for you, but AI is never going to bring personal touch to
exactly
to that thing. I can look at 1,000 set of documents, and banks do it all the time. Underwriters literally go in and they'll have an AI go in and zip through someone's bank statements or go through income and come out and say, here's a number. And I come back and I'm like, what the F are you talking about? What the hell are you looking at? That's not how this income works. This borrower just got a raise. This happened, that happened. This is a change. That's a change. There needs to be personal touch and humans involved in things. And especially buying a house. Buying a house is it's emotional. There's one of the three biggest things, right? A death in the family, sometimes getting married, and buying your first home. Those are three things that can be one of the most stressful, or one of the, a death is always stressful and painful. But even then, if you got family and things are planned and other things, there's so many levels of stress that you don't have to deal with when things are done, and it's morbid, but like, how many times has someone had like a death in the family, right? And all of a sudden, instead of being able to mourn and celebrate, you're worried about the finances or trying to figure everything out at the end of the day. A wedding's the same way. You get the right wedding coordinator or a family friend that loves doing it. They're great at it.
Yeah.
Easy process.
Yeah. I mean, it's our job to make the process easy for you.
Absolutely.
Period. Yeah. Easy and sometimes even enjoyable.
I get clients this morning. They made an offer on a house, got accepted, and I was like, hey, your loan's approved. I need 2 things. What do you mean? I'm like, yeah, just send me this and that and you're done. Are you kidding? I'm like, yeah, the banking side's done. Like, we'll just wait and then we'll be ready to close. We'll call the seller in 4 or 5 days, see if they want to close 20 days early. The process itself, guys, is determined by the team around you.
Yeah.
And 100% that's true every single time.
All right, so we go to step 6.
Let's do it.
We're moving along quickly now.
I like it.
All right,
it's that rum. It's getting us lit up.
Seriously, smart house hunting. Okay, so basically, it comes down to first step on that is needs versus wants. Really understanding what your needs are versus what you want is going to set you up for success, right? Again, perfect example was, let's just use the same example that I used before, was I was looking for a 3 or 4 bedroom home. I ended up with a 2 bedroom, 2 bath house. Why? I understood that I didn't have any children, right? I maybe in the future I wanted one, but I knew that it wasn't anytime soon. So a 2 bedroom home actually made sense, right? But I did needed that second bathroom because I like my own space, right? So, but the neighborhood was more important to me. Buying into that Beverly Park area of Whittier was so more essential to me. That was more of a need because I knew how beautiful that neighborhood is versus being in a bigger home in an uglier part of town.
Sometimes it's as simple as someone comes out and he has an $80,000 boat and a big RV and he's like, bro, this would cost me $1,000 a month to rent. I need to make sure I have a house with a long ass driveway with the garage all the way in the back. Cool. When he goes in the system, he can go, hey man, there's 500 homes, but there's 30 that fit what you want. We don't need to go look at these other ones that aren't going to fit that list. Like, it's sometimes that simple, but it's having the problem with that, right? It seems simple for someone who knows what to look for and what to ask.
Exactly. Because what you're setting up here is really a really easy vision on your house hunting, That's what you're setting up. So when you're getting homes in your email or your app, whatever it might be, whatever system your realtor is using, then you're getting the right homes from the beginning.
Yesterday,
you're not getting a list of 100 and some homes, and then you got to go through all those. That makes the process painful.
Yesterday, I was actually at Costco
gems.
buying dog food. My dog's like those little stupid pates. I got to mix it with their dog food from Costco. And I seen a text from a client telling Mel, oh, well, Melvin, the price should be adjusted, blah, 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 blah. And his response back was, just keep looking at these houses and show me the ones that you like, because I'm still figuring out what your expectation and taste are. And and he's like, just go through these lists, and he'll sometimes send a grant thing, go, look, I'm going to send you these 60 homes. Go through this list and just show me the ones you like, because that's going to help me start custom tailoring certain areas and looking for things. So, and I just thought, I was like, man, that's something that I love. It's instead of saying, hey, here's 40 cities.
Yeah.
Or here's 20 cities, or here's 10 cities and 1,000 homes. It's coming back and saying, hey, based on that sample size I gave you, here's 15 properties with great price points and the school districts that are important to you. Here's some things that I think you guys will really like. And most of the time they come back and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't even expect this area. Hey, I didn't see that.
Exactly.
But that's their fucking job.
Exactly.
Do it right.
I mean, I think that comes from experience, right? I mean, when I was shopping for my home, I think we saw 40 plus homes. We should have never seen that many homes.
Yeah.
Ever. Completely unnecessary, right? It's basically a small funnel. Think about it as a small funnel, right? At first, you're going to get a bigger sample, right? Your realtor should be able to see, okay, they need this, these are the essentials. And they also want these things, right? And then they're going to cut it down to these, right? And then they're going to send you another sample, right? And then from that second sample, he should be able, or she should be able to send you the top 15, 20 homes max, right? That are gems, complete gems that you'll be able to basically pinpoint, like, okay, now it's going to be tough to make up my mind on the ones that I actually like, because I like them all. Yeah, exactly. All right. So then next on my list here is understanding days on market, especially today. And why? Because homes are sitting on the market a lot longer. And that gives you leverage to get a price cut and get closing costs included, right? Now, that's not every market. So understanding your market, days on market, is very important. So real quick, if a home has been sitting on the market 30 plus days, that's when most sellers start getting a little nervous, and they start thinking, maybe I should reduce, am I overpriced? They start doubting, right? 45 days to 60 days, for sure, you should be able to get a good discount there, right? You can cut on the price, or you can cut on the amount of out of pocket, meaning your closing costs and stuff.
Or you might get a house that's been on the market for 180 days, and you write an offer, and the agent's like, nope. And you did from the first conversation, they're like, yeah, my seller's completely unreasonable. And then you're like,
get those too.
Then you're like, okay, cool, now we know.
Yeah. And
but
guess what?
you remove it from that list, right?
Yeah, you remove it from the list completely. Okay. Yeah, all right. So understanding days on market, very important. Watching price reductions. You'll see that once you start paying attention to the days on market. You start seeing in most home search apps, you should be able to see the price drop right at the top, right? Sometimes like Redfin, I think they cross it out and they give you the new price. Other ones, they have a red arrow, that kind of thing. And watch those, very important.
Let me ask you about this one, Mel, because I know you always talk about this with clients. Should they just fall in love with the house because they really like a picture of that room?
Absolutely not.
Fall in love with the photo?
No. Look, man. It's like a Disney movie, honestly, right? It's like a Disney movie, because you okay. Sometimes you gotta kiss some frogs to get that prince, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So in today's world, I can grab my phone, right? You can grab your phone, and you can take a picture of a room, and you can put it through AI, or you can put it through even just a simple filter.
I mean, I could have Jean-Claude Van Damme sitting in our room with us looking like he's drinking whiskey in the back. So changing a picture is not too hard.
Exactly. What that means for you as the buyer is that a lot of these pictures that are highly altered, very filtered, and when you get there, it's not the same feeling. Okay, so do never fall in love with the picture.
I mean, how many of you have looked for like a car on CarMax or on OfferUp, and you're like, oh, look, I want to buy my daughter this old, that's a perfect first starting car for school. There's no damage. The paint looks shiny.
Yep.
Then you go and you pull up and you're like, WTF, what the hell is that thing in the driveway?
And then you see the rim scratched up.
And the one picture they sent from that one angle at dawn made it look clean, but it's completely different.
Yeah,
right?
especially black paint, right? Man. All right, and then lastly, 2026 inventory, Dave. This is very up to date right now. How's that going to affect our buyers this year? Personally, the way I see it, I don't know. We have seen this right now is still a little bit of a slow market, right? So the ball is in your court as a buyer. However, come the summer months, that leverage is going to start going away. Why? Because you're probably waiting for summer months. Yeah. That means a lot of other people are waiting for summer months. Competition is going to ramp up a little bit. Rates, we're supposed to get a new Federal Reserve head person, right?
Yep.
Who's supposed to be a little bit more favorable to dropping rates or maintain them and keeping the same. But, the forecast is for the rates to drop some, right? So that's going to bring more buyers into the market. And you're going to have more competition. So the way I see it is take advantage now, because the summer months are going to be more competitive. What do you think?
I agree, and preparation is better in literally every single thing that you do.
Yeah.
There's not one thing. Like, that's almost like asking, well, I'm going on a trip to Hawaii in August, and I'm going to be at the beach a lot with my shirt off a lot. And don't wait till August 10th and then be like, all right, what's that cayenne pepper and maple and lemon water for 5 days? Like, just change a couple habits today. Yeah. And it's the same thing with buying, right? Like, get the education part. Start planning. I mean, we have clients sometimes that are like, hey guys, I'm on a lease. I got, 5 months till it's over. And I'm like, great, let's come in. Let's get you educated. Let's get the process started. Get the search thing started. We've had people that found homes, and more often than not, you may have a seller that's thinking the same thing, that says, hey, you know what, I want to sell this house, but I'm waiting for this job change. So they're just trying to get ahead of maybe getting their home listed to start getting a feel for the price.
Yeah.
And we've had deals where the seller's like, oh, by the way, I want to do a 45-day rent back because I want to sell my house, but, I'm not going to be able to move for X amount of time because of this new job. And we're like, cool, we got a buyer that they're comfortable with a 65 or 70-day escrow or something else. All those things are negotiable. And from the financing side, the last thing you want to do is wait and then go, oh man, my lease is up in a month. Let me go talk to a banker. And then you find out you have a credit issue. You find out maybe the qualification parameters or some things that you have to work on. Yeah. So absolutely, preparation, good in every part of your life. Okay. Not even just this,
Yep. All right. So then we move on to the next step.
Step
7. Okay. So writing a winning offer in this year, in 2026. So look, the basic guidelines there is going to be for your realtor to, for lack of better words, is just get on the phone and talk to the seller side. Why? Because they need to understand the seller's motivation and what are the key things that they're looking for in an offer, right? Everybody's going to be different, meaning that every seller is going to have a different motivation.
Absolutely.
Every seller is going to have a different goal. And for you as the buyer to submit an offer, right, with the proper verbiage, right, that makes that seller, right, light up right away. Oh, this buyer understands what I'm trying to accomplish here. Sends a huge message to the other side.
Absolutely.
Right? It gives you that edge, right? It gives you an edge. That's number 1. Number 2, comp-based pricing, meaning comparable homes. Have your realtor pull up comparable properties to this property that you're looking at, this home that you're looking at, and see if that offer price, right, that sales price that they have online is the correct price, right? Especially if it has been sitting on the market for a long time. Most of the times that homes sit on the market for a long time is because they're overpriced. So pull the comps, understand that, and when you write that offer, that might feel like a lowball offer to the seller, have your realtor send in those comps and like, hey, this is why we are sending this price right here.
And it's vice versa
Evidence.
too. I mean, you might have agents that are like, hey, you know what? All these houses are selling for $850 on the street. Let's list your house at $720 so that we get every buyer in the world to come and look at it. And your agent's going to look at those comps, and he's not going to come back and be like, oh yeah, it's been on the market for 15 days, listed at 720. We're going to go ahead and go in at 725, you know? Like, he's going to look at that, have that conversation and realize, like, you know what? If you want this to be even somewhat attainable, again, that's where having an agent that understands the market. So when they write that offer, because again, guys, at the end of the day, here's the thing. You write a bad offer, agents don't call you back even.
Yeah.
Like you're literally just, you might as well take it and shred it in a shredder versus sending an email because it's going nowhere.
And it goes both ways. It goes both ways, meaning that let's just say you do send an offer and you get a counter offer back, and the counter offer is a bad counter offer. Guess what? You're not even going to entertain it either.
No,
you're
not.
Right? We have plenty of buyers that's like, man, this person doesn't even want to negotiate. They barely budged on the price.
Move to the next
or any of the contingency. Okay, next home. No big deal.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then after that is understanding those contingencies. So we're in the buyer's market, right? So what that means for you as a buyer is that you don't need to remove any of the contingencies you had to remove back in 2020, 2021, and early 2022. Keep your inspection contingencies in there, your appraisal and all that stuff. Most of the times you don't have to remove those. However, be smart, right? And be a good negotiator and understand that you have to give a little bit to take a little bit. So what that means is, work a little faster. So if you're in your state, depending on your state, let's just say that your inspection contingency period is 15 days, let's just say.
That's the standard.
That's your standard, right? Then move it down to 8 days. Why? Because that shows that you want to move quickly, right? You want to move decisively, right? And you're serious about buying this home, and it looks good in the offer, right? You're not removing it, you're just moving it a little bit. You're moving a little bit fast. And guess what? Most of the times when it comes to an inspection, you can do it in 3 days. You have an extra 5 days to.
And that goes back to
that
as a team, guys. That's important. When he'll come back to me, and I'll literally tell him, like, hey, just so you know, we could do loan inspection. I'll get appraisal done 5 days. Loan we can have done in 7 days. So you want to do all contingencies in 10 days and do a 14-day escrow? Go for it. Now we go back to the client, and maybe you get some seller who's motivated, who's like, man, I need this money. I want to get the hell out of California and get to Texas as soon as possible. Some scenario like that. Everyone else's offers 35, 45 days. And we're like, hey, maybe we're not, our offer is the exact same price. We're asking for the same concessions, but all of a sudden we're telling this buyer, hey, this seller, hey, you can be out the door and have your check and down the road in 15 days from now versus 35 days from now. For someone that wants to sell quickly, that's huge. If you get a seller on the other end that we've had where they're like, oh, you know what, our seller, you know, they have a lot of stuff and they're moving, so they're going to need more time. Maybe he comes back and he's like, hey, you know what, we could do a 30-day close with, like, we'll give you 15 days after closing to do this, or we can do a 45-day escrow. So all those little things, because if you just get an agent that sees a house, talks to their client, and sends an offer without having any understanding. And when we talk about for our buyers, your motivations, a good agent is also going to try to find out what that seller's motivations are and tailor that offer based on that.
This is where your understanding the seller's motivation comes to pay, and it helps you, right?
And it's also understanding the market.
Yeah, that too. Earnest money deposit, we spoke about that, right? That could be negotiated. Everything is negotiated in the offer, and then the strategy, right? And the strategy is an overall strategy of negotiation, right? Always give a little bit to take a little bit. Understand what's important to you versus understanding what's important to them.
Yeah.
So give a little bit on what they want so you can get what you want. Right?
Yeah, seller may want to close fast, and you may want $10,000 for closing cost credits.
Exactly.
Hey, you want to close in 30 days? No. What if we close in 14? You know, we're not going to give you those credits. Well, what if we close in 14 days? You close in 14 days and remove those contingencies in 10, you got your credits.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And also, you can only move that fast when you have the proper team behind you.
That's right.
Right? And we're not saying just us. You just gotta have
There's a lot of
good
great
team,
bankers and a lot of great agents out there.
A good team, right?
Absolutely,
I'm
yeah.
only able to work that fast because I have the man and woman power behind me to do that, right? I have two people looking at documents in the course of escrow, right? In my team, husband and wife that do this together, right? And I'm only able to review so many documents so fast.
Yeah, same as
because
me.
of them.
I package
Same
up loans.
thing.
I get them down. I already understand conditions and what I'm looking at. I'm doing with my clients. I have processors that are packaging things. Awesome insurance agents and teams that are getting quotes and
Exactly.
getting things done. Appraisal relationships with AMCs that I know. Hey, this company works really quickly. They're like.
Yeah, because you don't want to move quickly just to move quickly. Because what happens is you could end up in, right? I wouldn't want to move quickly just for the sake of moving quickly, because you can end up with a home with a lot of issues, right? You want to move quickly, properly, safely,
Absolutely.
right? That's the whole point.
It's the end result, guys.
Yep.
Getting to the finish line again. Like we said, there's give, there's take, but it's having people that can explain the risk versus the reward on those things. And I mean, we've had clients that go look at houses, and the very first house they see that they like, they write an offer, it gets accepted.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's go.
Yeah.
And we're like, you sure you want to move? Like, you want to see this other one? Nope, I'm good. Let's do this. Like,
And that goes right into step 8, because I'm reading right here, and I'm like, oh, this is exactly it. Inspection and due diligence. Okay.
super important.
So yeah, I mean, we touched up on this a little bit already. What inspections really protect for you is basically, look, HGTV makes this look so cool and sexy, right? And fun, right? However, if you and I are going to go look at homes, right, it's most likely not going to be like HGTV. It's not the same experience, because my job as your realtor is to protect you, right? Guide you through the process and do it in a way that you understand the process, right? You know everything that you're signing is educational, and you're having a really good experience, right? And it's my job to protect your assets, right? So your asset being your money.
If you don't like it, watch the movie The Burbs with Tom Hanks, right? Or something where they go in and it's just like the money pit where they buy this
money
house.
pit. Yeah.
And it's just awful.
Because look, I'll be the first one to tell you to walk away from a home if you need to. Okay. What you want is an agent that goes in there with you, and most of the times you're not gonna be looking at this giant 8,000 square foot home that you can get lost in, right? That has unique features that you need explanations. What I'm trying to tell you is your agent should be looking at things that might be wrong with the home. That's what they should be looking at. Not pointing, and this is the bedroom, and this is the high ceiling. No, none of that stuff. Your agent should be looking at potential water leaks that happen in the home while you're looking at how beautiful the chandelier is, right? My job is to catch
you're looking
those
at the crown molding
ahead of time.
Where's this crack leading to on this part of the house?
Yeah, you need to. The agent should be looking at what could be an issue.
And it's not being cheap, right? Like home inspections. What's a standard cost of a home inspection?
Nowadays, $650.
How much would it be to get an extra camera to go check a sewer?
Another almost $200 now.
Okay, so imagine this, right? Like, you want to buy a new house. You're looking at something. Now's not the time to decide you want to be cheap on $200 to not get a main line on a house.
Yeah.
Checked out. Because the last thing you want to do is you spend your money on furniture. You're all happy. You have the first barbecue, and now all of a sudden both bathrooms are being used extensively. You're having that carne asada. Families are having to use a restroom. Yep. And all of a sudden someone comes down and says, hey, by the way, toilet don't flush. You call a plumber out there, and they're like, yeah, sorry, guys, your main line's cracked, and you need to replace the whole thing.
Yep. We had that last year with one of our clients, right? Sold our duplex, moved into a single-family home, and we did the inspection, the main line, and same thing. It needed repair, right? We negotiated that during the escrow process. I think they got close to $15,000 to fix that.
Yeah.
Right.
We had a client that drained
$15,000. They got free to go ahead and fix that.
We had someone, problem. I mean, home warranties, Mel can get into that stuff in another video, and there's some things that'll protect you, but the end of the day is if there's something that can be addressed before it becomes your headache,
Yeah.
Better to address it now, because when you don't own a home, guess what? If there's a foundational problem and it ain't your house, it ain't your problem.
Okay, that was my next point. So every home, unless even a brand new home, even a brand new construction, is going to have something. Okay.
Yeah.
What you need to have, you're going to do the inspection. You're going to have a list. One is going to be, hopefully, all of it is going to be just your normal wear and tear repairs, right? The cost of owning a home and your future weekend projects.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, right?
Yep.
I mean, I was there every weekend. I might as well, I would just go right to Home Depot, get my stuff, and I have my list.
Yeah.
Why? My list was actually my home inspection that I did. And I would just go page by page, and I would fix those things, right? Now, if something comes up with your foundation, plumbing that is really bad, right? Roof that is really bad, and electrical, the main, the lifeline of the home,
absolutely.
right? And if it's really bad, then we might have to walk away.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it's okay to walk away. You get your deposit back, and we're gonna look at the next home. But we'll go over that during the course of escrow.
But that's what inspections are for, guys. Inspections are there to protect you, right? Because you go into escrow, it's like anything else. You're going in and saying, hey, my intention is to buy this house from you for $750,000. I'm going to give you $15,000 up front. I'm going to buy it and close on this house in 30 days. But part of that process is I'm going to pay an outside service, a professional, because, I mean, at the end of the day, I guarantee you, this guy does his due diligence, but he ain't gonna be going under the house and crawling 40 feet under a muddy, dark house to go check the foundation underneath and make sure that stuff is solid down there. You know, when it's 100 degrees outside and it's a hot day in the summer and you need someone that's gonna crawl up in the attic and go look at everything and check your HVAC system and pop that electrical and look at all these things, right? You're paying for a service, and that service, more often than not, it gives us like he said, it's a mommy and daddy to-do list. It's leverage in the negotiating process. But sometimes it's also a red light or a green light for you to say, hey, this property is, there's nothing on this list that says this can be a potential disaster, or hey, we need to back off on this one because there's something about this property that can be detrimental to your health in the next few months moving forward. Because you buy a house that has some crazy issues like that, guys, it again, at the end of the day, Mel mentioned it, and we mentioned it several times in this video, it's all about win. And, you can give, you can take a little bit, you may go out and say, hey, this thing has a new roof, but the windows are old, or little things like that. Or, hey, guys, like my house, I'll give you an example. If you want to look at my electrical panel, you'd be like, dude, this thing needs to be updated. But you know what? It runs my pool, it runs my AC, it does everything else. On an inspection report, someone can come back and be like, hey, we want $5,000 credit to do the panel. And I'd be like, look, I can give you my word for it and tell you that my stuff's been running just fine, but I'd probably budge and say, you know what? Yeah, it does need to be changed. I probably need to do it, but it's
because
working
the seller
for
also
me.
but the seller also wants to protect themselves,
100%,
right?
yeah.
So understand that, and that's also leverage for you, right? A lot of sellers, they want to protect themselves, meaning that after the close of escrow, something happens to that electrical panel, they can, you can go after them. So they might give you the money, the $5,000 up front to go ahead and fix it, right? After the close of escrow, and they just give you a credit and you save that money.
Yeah.
So understand that it's very important.
Huge.
All right, we're moving along. Step 9, underwriting and closing. This is more on your end.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you are now in the middle of escrow. You're about to enter into the last week or so of escrow, right? And you're about to close escrow. So understand that don't go buy a car.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, here's what happens, right? You get your loan, you get your pre-qualification done, then you open escrow. Once we open escrow, on his side of things, the inspections are started. Basically the inspections are done, and then he's kind of waiting on those things to come back to work on the negotiating side. From my side, that's when the meat and potatoes come in, right? That's when I'm packaging up a loan. I'm submitting it to the investor. And once your loan goes through, the first thing that happens is you get what's called a conditional loan approval. And a conditional loan approval is literally what it means by definition. It says, hey, this loan is approved. We looked at these documents, but we need blah, 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 blah. I'll give you an example. I have a couple that I just, got a loan in, and I had 2 conditions. One of them was a borrower had $100,000 that was in an investment account, and when I got a new bank statement, that 100 grand was now in his bank account. I said, hey, one of those conditions is I need to show I need to show the transfer of that 100,000. I get a young lady that came in and said, hey, look, I have this, and I know you had your school and all that stuff. I wanted to see what they asked for. Now I need your transcripts. You may come in and the bank says, hey, you know what? I need a couple extra pay stubs. I need whatever those things are, right? That's a conditional approval. So that's when your banker, your loan officer, they're going to come to you and they're going to say, hey guys, your loan's approved. Here's a list of all those things I need. Like as an example, one of those things, and it's always there, is I need to show one of the things the bank's going to say, hey, on this purchase contract, it says that your borrower gave a $15,000 initial deposit. I'm going to have to go back to my client. I'm not going to have it the day that we open escrow, but about a week later, when all those transfers have cleared their account, I'm going to say, hey guys, I need an updated asset statement.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a couple updated pay stubs, and I'm going to need to show proof that initial deposit was transferred from your account to the escrow company. Those are all little things that we're gonna work on them. We're gonna package your deal up, and then what happens is once all those things are done, we get what's issued on loans. It's called a clear to close, and a clear to close is basically when the bank says, "Hey, all that crap I was asking you, we're done with it. We don't need it anymore. Your borrower is now ready to close on your loan."
Yeah.
And what Mel was mentioning is this. Once the loan process starts, a couple of things that banks do at the end of loans that not a lot of people know about. As an example, most banks are going to require things called like a letters of explanation. And what that is when they see your credit report, they may see that there was a credit inquiry from my bank because I ran your credit to get you pre-qualified. They may see that you had a Capital One inquiry on your credit. We're going to come back and say, hey, we need these letters and basically state what was this credit inquiry for? Do you have new debts or things that don't show up on credit? And banks, a lot of times, they'll do what's called like a diligence check. So prior to closing, they kind of do like their own little internal soft pull to make sure that there's no new debts or things that have popped up on someone's credit or something that could affect buying. And bank may come back and say, hey, I just noticed it looks like your client looks like they got a car. And you call them up and you're like, what happened? Oh yeah, we went and bought a car this weekend. Well, guess what? Now that $600 car payment has to be added to your debt profile.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but you don't qualify with that stuff anymore, right? So little small things like that can be detrimental. So when it comes to closing, right, you're going to be working close with your banker. We're going to go over all those costs. We're going to go over all your fees. We're going to line item all your closing costs. We're going to say, okay, let's go over one more time. We know exactly, this is what your mortgage payment is. These are what your closing costs are. These are what all these funds are. This is how much you're coming in with. This is how much needs to be wired. And once all those things are kind of said, okay, I understand it, I'm ready to go, then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce you back to the escrow company, and they're going to contact you and they're going to schedule what's called your loan signing. And what that is that's when you're going to get with the notary. You're going to get all your docs signed. You're going to basically kill 3 large redwood trees worth of loan documents that you got to sign. And then once you sign and you go through that process, then your loan does what's called funding. And funding, that is when the bank says, hey, we got loan docs back, escrow in the bank. They verify that let's just say as an example that I'm selling my house to Melvin. When my loan funds, my bank basically wires 700 grand to escrow for my property. And then what happens is they pay off my loan. They make sure everything that was on title on that property is cleared and paid off. And then they record my new deed of trust, and they get confirmation from a title that says, hey, everything that Dave owed on this property has now all been paid off. It's all been cleared. Now we're going to go ahead the following day and we're going to record Melvin's new note on the property, and then that's when your loan records. Yep. And then once it records, that's official county records that says, hey, Dave now got paid off. Everything that Dave owed on this house no longer exists, and Melvin's new deed of trust is now recorded on this property. And once that recording confirmation happens, it's official. and that's when you get those beautiful
Yeah.
keys.
Yeah, and then depending on the state, every state has their own processes for closing escrow.
Yeah.
Some will allow you in the middle of this process to go ahead and do something called a final walkthrough of the property, meaning verifying that the home is exactly as you last saw it the last time, just to make sure this is something that came to be after 2008, and a lot of people lost their homes. They started wrecking the homes.
Yeah,
Right? Damaging the homes before moving out. So they allow you to go ahead and double check that the home still looks good, nothing is broken, that kind of stuff, and then you sign on that final dotted line. Okay, so that's one of the
Yeah, we've had
I wanted to
properties,
throw that in.
I mean, we've had properties where the seller was like, yeah, you know what? All these things are included, right? The washer,
Yeah.
the dryer, the fridge, and then you go do a final
supposed to be,
walkthrough,
and they're not
and you
there.
walk in and you're like, hey, where's that $4,000 Viking that was
Yeah.
right there in that hole in the kitchen?
It's in the offer. It's right here in the contract.
And you're like, hey,
so
guys,
we have them put it back.
Bring that thing back, and
Put
when
it
we
back.
see it in the house, then we close.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, and then final step, the first 12 months of ownership. Very important. So basically here, what you want is two different things here. Number one, obviously, we spoke about that budget that you're gonna have for post close of escrow, right? Moving in fee, decorating fee, fixing budgets and stuff like that, right? There's also gonna be, and you can talk about a little bit of the taxes.
Yep.
Every state is different. Certain states do have something called a supplemental tax bill. We have it here in California. New Jersey has it, New York has it, Massachusetts has it. A good amount of states have it out there, not all, about half of them. And what that is basically the difference between the last time the home was assessed that value versus how much you bought it today. That difference there of the amount of the value of the home, you're getting taxed on that amount. Absolutely. I'm not a big fan. However, it's something that we have. People need to make their money. Cities, states need to make their money. So we have it. Your realtor can go over that with you, how much that is. The math is different per state, but be aware of it. Write it down, very important, because that's going to eat up part of your post-close of escrow budget, right?
Absolutely. It's an expense that's going to come up for sure.
It is not part of your regular property taxes, okay? This is a supplemental tax bill, all right?
And you want to make sure that you're aware of it.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cheap if the last time the home was sold maybe 6 years ago, let's just say. Okay, not that bad of a bill. But if the home last sold, let's just say 15, 20, 25 years ago,
yeah,
that's going to be a pretty hefty bill.
If the old owner's assessment was $100,000,
yep,
and now you're buying a house $1 million, now the purchase price that you pay isn't always exactly what it is. What happens is when that house ownership changes from one person to another, that county is going to assign an assessor to that property. Usually they're going to look at the purchase price, but as an example, like let's say you're buying a house from a family friend and that house was never on the market. Maybe that house was valued at $1 million and you bought it from a family friend for $600,000. Just because you paid $600,000 for it, that assessor looking at that might go, they bought it for $6, but at the time that ownership changed, this house was actually valued at closer between $950,000 and $1 million. So you might have a supplemental tax bill. Old owner was $100,000. You paid your best friend $600,000, but that house was really worth $9,000.
Yeah.
That could be an $800,000 difference.
Yeah.
And in California, you're paying 1.25% of that. You might have a $9,000 supplemental tax bill. Yeah. I've had clients that buy homes, and maybe they get an assessor who, they're in one block of area where the homes are way expensive, and the blocks right below it, maybe because of view or something else, the prices are a little different, and the assessor comes out and it's assessed at maybe $100,000 less than what you bought. It has nothing to do with your appraised value. That's just what that assessor in that county office determined. But again, it's a supplemental tax bill, and you are going to have one.
Yeah. And I wanted to throw a little bit, last thing there. Please be aware of scams out there. Okay, we have seen it here.
All that junk mail.
Yeah, a lot of junk mail. Remember, you're closing escrow with your name attached to the property, and that is public record. Just that information, your name, and the property. So you're gonna get a lot of mail coming in after you close escrow that you need
this $350
for
this $350 owed to the county for a copy of your grant deed or some other shit. Yeah.
Source of nonsense. You don't need any of that. What we have seen this last couple of years is also fake, scammy supplemental tax bills.
And people are getting
they
good.
look like them,
They're
but
getting
they're
good.
not.
People are getting good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about thousands of dollars sometimes.
It's that AI thing this guy likes so much, right?
Right? So please be aware. Send a picture over to your realtor or your lender and find out if this is the proper one. Or even better, just call your tax assessor's office and tell them that you received the bill if they have sent it already, and they'll be able to tell you yes or no and how much it is, and tell you if this is the real one or not. Okay, so please do that.
What I do with
Very
my clients,
important.
guys, I keep it easy. I say, look, you get anything in the mail that looks like it's something you need to pay, it looks like something on your payment changes, it looks like there's a bill you're unsure of, take a picture, send it to me, I'll
Yeah.
call you, we'll go over it in depth.
Yeah, because the reality is you already pay for all the warranties. You got a title rep, you had an escrow company, everything was taken care of for you during the course of escrow. That is part of your closing costs. So all that stuff most likely is just scam. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. And then the last couple of things that I wanted to remind everybody is, remember, you have to think long-term wealth here, right? You are building equity in your property, right? So you're going from savings account, right, putting money in your savings account, into putting money into this property that's going to pay you later. Personally, I didn't see it as clearly as I do now, obviously, right? Back then, but I was so used to, putting my pennies away in my savings account, right? And then when you drain that savings account to go ahead and buy this home, and then it is a lot lower, and then you have this mortgage payment is a lot higher, it's gonna feel very expensive, right? Going from rent to mortgage, and your savings account being pretty much diminished, right? Or gone down significantly. However, you have to have that mindset. This is my investment, right? This is part of how I'm gonna build wealth.
I mean, most people, right, when you go to your neighborhood or you got that family friend or parents or uncle and aunt, and you're going to their house and you're like, man, it seemed like they got it all. Like, they're chilling in retirement, they're doing trips, they're looking like they're doing well. Usually when you get down to why those people have that wealth, 99% of the time it's attached to smart real estate decisions, right? I mean, you look at the billionaires of the world and, or millionaires and successful people, and you look in their portfolios, the most common thing you find amongst everybody is property.
Yeah.
I mean, you get people that bought a home. I mean, even parents, right? Someone, let's say right now, you're buying a house, you're 25, you and your girlfriend, you're going to get married, you buy this little house somewhere for, it's 2 bedroom, 1 bath, you buy it for $500,000, you work your butts off, you pay. Even if that was a house you just stayed in, all of a sudden now, you're 45 years old, you're 50 years old, you got this property, maybe it's appreciated a couple $100,000, you owe $50,000 and you got a $700,000 asset, and you decide, you know what? We kind of want to move out of state. We want to retire. We want to, do this or that. All of a sudden, you sell this property, and you have this wealth, or you get this property, and you go, you know what? I'm going to take me on a nice equity line. I'm going to use that to fund college. Like, there's so many things you can do, but real estate is one of the biggest creators of wealth.
This is how some of our clients are even moving out of the country and living like kings and queens.
Yeah, real estate.
Literally, I mean, you have $700,000 in an asset, and you can go pick up something cash at $250, right? And you have $500K in the bank.
Yep.
And the cost of living is literally 20% of what it used to be here in the U.S. And now you're flying around the world and living a lot cheaper, right?
I mean, unless you're buying one of 20, custom built Porsche.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Or some Ferrari,
you can buy a single Porsche for that much, right?
Yeah, or some crazy one of 30 Mercedes, race car or something.
We won't recommend that,
and it's gonna appraise, right? The main thing is almost everything you buy in this world is a depreciating asset.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, in the end, always ends up green is real estate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then final part, guys. 2026. Who should be buying in 2026? I mean, I think we keep reminding people. Number one, if the numbers make sense for you, right?
Absolutely.
Regardless of the rate, once you do the math, right? Does that monthly payment make sense for you and your family? Okay.
I mean, in the last 26 years of real estate, I mean, I've seen them go from 3 to 8, pretty much, right around that. Seconds and stuff a little higher, but
yeah.
I've seen real estate go from $250,000 for a house to $1 million for the same property, right? So that trend is continuing to go up, right? At the end of the day, if you're waiting for a magical time to time the market,
It's gonna pass you by.
that time doesn't ever come, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, guys, education is key. That's literally the whole purpose of us doing this. I mean, obviously, right, when you start a podcast, you're spending time, you're taking times out of your day, you're taking away from other parts of your business to create content and do these things on video. I don't do this because, it's awesome to sit with Mel and it's fun, but our idea of doing this wasn't, I want to, become this giant YouTube thing and only do podcasts and not do mortgages. I've been doing this my entire life. We did this because when we get clients now, and it's instead of having you can go check out this video real quick that we put on this.
Yeah.
Someone else calls, hey guys, I got an awesome video on this thing. But it's trying to be a resource so that people can go and look for something and say, just go look at Clever Homeowner. And here's some videos from 2 active people. And we're sitting in my office. I got 5 files that are on my desk. Literally, as soon as we finish, I'm going to jump on the phone. I'm going to start working on loans again. Melvin's going to finish this up and go write offers and go find some houses for a client. We're actively doing what we do. This is done for the strict purpose of trying to, from years and years of people asking us questions, seeing people make the same common mistakes, people having the same fears, people coming in and over 20 years of trying to time markets and miss out on things, right? Our job right now is just providing honest insight. And at the end of the day, everything we talk about, it all comes down to literally 3 fundamentals. The first one is, Mel hit it on the head in one of our very first videos. It's what is your need? What is even this whole entire process, it all comes down to what is your need and your motivation. That's number 1. Number 2 is going to be what is your ability versus and reality versus expectation. And then number 3 is your team and preparedness, right? And everything that we're talking about now, it's basically based on those 3 fundamentals. And we've had people go through amazing processes with us. We've helped so many families. I mean, I'm friends with most of them. It's funny because all my clients, this guy knows, people will call or they'll send a text. They're like, oh shit, sorry Dave, it's a 49er game, or oh the Dodgers are playing, or oh Mel, Philly, congratulations, or this or that. They know it's around us, oh I can't answer the phone, this is on. We build relationships that have lasted for years and years and years. I mean, we get clients that we're in 3-way text with and sending jokes and doing stuff with baby showers and going to weddings and helping their kids and after their kids are ready to buy and things like that. We do this because we genuinely love it, and what we're trying to do now is just provide insight from people that are actively doing this for a living. We don't get off a podcast and hope that I get 10 leads and I'm gonna go sell them to somebody else. For us, it's hey, someone sends a message and says, hey Mel, I'm actually looking to buy in this state. Do you have someone you could recommend to me? And you send him a message, he's going to call you up and be like, hey, you know what? Talk to you for a little bit. Let me make a connection for you. Let me get 2 or 3 agents that are trusted, that are licensed, that are reputable, that have great reputations in an area, and let me try to connect you with a few people and see if one of these people fit. If you call and you call Mel and say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about buying a house. I'm not quite ready yet. My credit might need some work. He's going to say, hey, call Dave, and you're going to come. We're going to sit in my office. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to get you educated. What we do, there's a real connection and there's an availability from both of us. And we want to make sure that you're aware of that, right? That on this page and what we do.
Yeah, you go on that website and you select the time and date that works best for you. You actually get us. Right, that goes straight to that computer right there behind the camera. It goes straight to this computer right here, and we talk to you about your needs and what your goals are. Right, meaning that this does not go to some call center in some third country somewhere,
Yeah.
and you get spammed with a ton of emails and phone calls, and none of that stuff. This goes straight to us who want to help people. I mean, this is why, we literally named it Be a Clever Homeowner, because regardless whether you're buying or selling, you have to have the information in order for you to make the right decisions, period.
Absolutely.
The book. Okay,
Yes.
talk about the information for the right decision. So, finding the home of your dreams, right? This is more like a handbook, okay? So when you go in here, right, there are certain pages that you're gonna be able to do and write and put in the info, the numbers and stuff like that for you. This handbook is basically a more in detail breakdown of all the stuff that we just spoke about right here, step by step on how to buy your first home, okay? So you're gonna go to this right here. click, right? BeACleverHomeowner.com. You're gonna set up the time to have a conversation, 15-minute call, free consultation with us. As soon as you do that, we're gonna mail you a copy of this book, okay? So you have all this info. If you didn't wanna write it down, you can have it right here in this handbook. This also has 3 pages full of pro level tips, okay? Meaning the stuff that I know and that he knows as professionals right here written down, right? So highly recommend you do that, and you get to talk to us. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Have a great day, guys. Remember, be a clever homeowner.
And don't forget, if you're ever down in Panama, stop by Amano bar in a really nice area, by the way, next to a vinyl bar and restaurant.
Oh, nice.
Really cool spot.
Cool.
Full of amazing and a Michelin star restaurant too. This bar, go to that bar, go to the boutique right next to it. They have that bottle right there. That's the only place that you can get it. So
It's good stuff. Cheers.
cheers.